calm down, cause he just wanna learn something, so I teach him something. I am the one that teach. Call me 10 wins and 20.
So you got a hold of my MTV episode and it's gay porn?
Well, I would probably say it's soft gay porn.
Well, I don't know if they show soft gay porn to kids, but I mean, NMTV's in that business of producing soft gay porn. Did you get the whole episode or just some select bits from John LeBon?
I mean, I can send over the link. The one that I was sort of landed in my lap is Hostile Hookup Part 1 of 2. It's on a channel called Dental Tech 1000.
Okay, but the whole episode's on there for context, right?
I mean, it's 14 minutes and 50 seconds.
Okay.
I don't know how long
that was a pretty big show. There's they had 18 million viewers back in 2001 for that show.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in 2001. Just so the context is clear here, that was in 2001 before I got privy to all this as a painter and an artist. And I guess they're in classic true form. They can go and mine that in the past and then twist the context and say the guy who wants to do an expedition across Antarctica is an ex-gay porn actor. Because that's what it looks like, your hit piece.
Well, honestly, there wasn't even going to be a hit piece. As a matter of fact, I tried to get a hold of you through whom I thought was a mutual friend, Jeff Stewart, and I did call a couple times. I did get your message that you left. I had 56 unread messages, and I went through all of them, and the last one I got was from you at 4:58 p.m. on Friday, which it was kind of odd because this information hadn't even landed into my lap until either right around that time or right after.
But what's the point of this?
Well,
being an actor in the past, what's the point of this? What's your intention here?
My intention is to show the truth, and for someone.
What's the truth for you? That I used to act?
Well, for someone to claim to be squeaky clean. And to essentially be, and first of all,
what's not squeaky clean about acting?
Well, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to get under the sheets with a dude in front of a bunch of camera crew. In fact, I wouldn't even get under the sheets with my wife and pretend to have sex with the camera crew. That's just my personal.
Well, that's great.
Integrity.
I guess you're in a lofty, pious position.
No, not at all.
The people, okay, before they would understand. At what level NASA and Hollywood are in bed. And if it wasn't for somebody like me who had an experience in Hollywood and also did you guys just unclick me?
No, you're still here.
Okay.
Oh, no, not at all.
I think you need an inside view of what goes on. So I don't get roles anymore since I snuck my perception test on French TV in Montreal. I don't
And you know, the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this first before coming out with it, but before I got a chance to talk to you, you put out a video basically calling me a bum and a worthless liar and all kinds of other stuff. And, you know, frankly, I probably wouldn't even release the video if it hadn't been for that. I wanted to talk to you about this first because, frankly, Matt, I've been a big supporter and proponent of yours for the duration of this movie.
You're the victim.
No, you know, don't twist my words. What I'm telling you is that this information was going to come out, and I sort of wanted.
It was already out. I have an acting reel. Everybody knows I do acting, design, painting.
Okay. So what you're saying is that this.
I'm on the acting thing all the time.
So what you're saying is this hostile hookup was a well-known thing that everybody knew that you did. Is that what you're saying?
Well, 18 million people saw it.
But what? So the people in the flat Earth movement knew it.
But what bearing does it have to do with doing expedition now, 15 years later?
The point that I was trying to make is this information was going to come out to make you look bad, and what I wanted to do. Well, wait a minute now. What I wanted to do I wanted to talk to you about it to get your side of the story first before releasing it. But unfortunately, before I had a chance to talk to you, I'm watching a video of you saying that, oh, you called me once and therefore I don't exist. I'm a shill, and that basically I don't work when in fact I do. I have a home-based business. And
who gave you the tip on this? Or told you to paint this whole thing with this video? Why did this video of my
It was your own words, most of it.
No, hold on a second. Why did a production, which is clearly acting, there's a script, it's not like now where it's real. Why did you get disturbed by a role I played in 2001 after the towers came down?
To me, it has more to do with dishonesty.
But what's dishonest about it?
Well, are you gay or are you straight?
I have a girlfriend. That's a TV role.
Okay, so then it was dishonesty because you pretended to be a gay man, even if it's on TV. It doesn't matter. And yeah, no, I don't think that's appropriate for children to see. And yes, MTV is geared towards children.
If you're working from a pious position to judge me and whether I'm credible enough to do an expedition across Antarctica, is this correct?
No, what I'm saying is that your
it kind of looks like that, John.
Your credibility has sort of come into question, and instead of slinging accusations at people...
The only person that's trying to make my credibility come into question is you by making this video, and you already had the footage, and you already edited it, and you were all ready to do it, but you wanted to contact me, but I never got any contact from you. I got a nice a Facebook message with your phone number, but I'm on a job site. It's almost like somebody knows that I'm actually working right now, and it took advantage of that very delicate window of opportunity where you couldn't be patient enough, and then you were threatening Jeff that you were going to release this.
I wasn't threatening Jeff at all, and as a matter of fact, I just commented on a post that you made.
Is that an attempt to replace me running this expedition because you're the other extended land theory?
No, I think that you are still. I don't think that your past should have anything to do with the expedition.
Because I did an acting gig, and we all know that was acting. That was a script.
No, you're dishonest because you called yourself squeaky clean.
Here's the deal. I also played a corrupt mobster police officer, artist in a film about dirty police or dirty cops called The Badge. Now, am I really like a mobster artist? No, I was interested in the role. Can I finish?
Sure.
I was interested in the role because I know that there's corruption in the police force. So I took on the character of a person that controls corrupt police or corrupt government officials. In this case, I thought it was kind of funny to play a macho football player, okay, who's really a closet case homosexual, a guy who used to bully people, and he was a football character, textbook all-American football character who happens to be gay and in the closet, and the person that he used to pick on as a bully and shove in the lockers, it turns out he has a thing with him. And I thought that was funny. I thought the dimensions of that were funny. Now, I'm not gay. I thought it was funny to play one of these very macho characters who's really a closet case, and then play that stereotype. Do you follow?
Well, people think it's...
For me, when I act, okay, it's like painting. I'm painting emotions. I'm painting a visual of a character. That's a bit separate from what I'm doing now with my life as a painter, a high realist, and a political scientist.
Well, and I guess the next sort of logical question would be is how do we know when you're acting and how do we know when you're being honest? Because if you can go from one extreme to being a straight man with a wife to pretending to be a gay man rolling around the covers with another man, to me that shows that you are a pretty damn good liar one way or another.
Here's where it gets interesting, is that I built a career as a performer, as a comedian, to talk about real issues and their absurdity. And I started to realize, doing comedy, that they don't want that. They don't want that on stage in clubs. They don't want that on TV. I was a bit naive. And that's when I started to wake up. And then people saw me doing roles, okay? And people saw me painting. And then I started getting courted to do certain things. A lot of things I didn't do, John. I've been offered about 8, all of them, 8 being one last week, which I will talk about if I don't pursue that, and I'll probably be labeled as shill as well. But the only way to catch a heroin dealer is you got to be a narc. So if you're in spiritual warfare and the enemy is infiltrating the truth movement, well, you might have to infiltrate the other side to get information. Now, the other side knows that this is going on. So when they spot somebody who might be infiltrating, well, they'll pretend a truth movement within the truth movement, and then they'll start accusing the guy who's actually doing recon on the evil side as the real evil person, as the real CIA operative. It kind of looks like that's what you're doing with me.
Well, actually, the first person to come out with negative stuff against me was Tiger Dan, so I made a response. the
I never
second,
addressed it, and I knew it was a plan.
well, the second, yeah, well, there you go. But the second person to come out with negative person against me, at least within the Flat Earth community, was you. I've never come out with anything except for high praise from you, and so I thought it was very strange that you would come out with a response, a hit piece against me before I ever even released anything. And you might want to double check your friendship with Jeff, because I'm not going to say everything, but he's told me some things about you that that I'm not going to repeat, because he's making unsubstantiated claims about you. So just one thing about your buddy Jeff is he appears to be extremely two-faced. I've only known him a couple of weeks, and what I heard from him on the phone with you was enough to know that he's not somebody that I'm going to consider trustworthy anymore. And it's like I said before, you screw me once, shame on me, or shame on you, and if you screw me twice, shame on me.
John, you had the video.
It was dumped. It was dumped in my lab.
You were going to do. You got it from John LeBon, who used to.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't. I didn't get it from John LeBon at all. That's wrong.
Yourself.
I can release my source, but I'm not going to do that this time.
So you got a source, and then
somebody that went through it's like the Screen Actors Guild, but for Canada it's like the MSRG number or whatever. They tracked it down through that and found this video.
So why twist it and get in a pious position and say that I'm not to be trusted to do any kind of expedition across Antarctica? That's what I'm asking you. And now we've talked about what I do for a living, or what I did, okay, and I got a lot of information about Hollywood. I got stuff about Luciferians that I'm about to release too.
That's great, but the reason that I said, well, hold on, the reason that I,
John,
that's fine.
Journalist, right?
Well, hold on, we can talk about that, but the reason why I submitted that you're untrustworthy is because you blatantly, bold-faced lied about me right on your hit piece. You said nothing but lies about me.
John, so you from the video you just released about me.
After the one you released about me.
But dude, you were editing it. I mean, clearly. And I reached you. I called you. You didn't call me back. That's a lie. I called you even with Jeff. You could have called me back right away. You didn't. You never got anything.
On Friday at 4:58, I believe I was at the store.
Man. Then I called you before and you hung up on me, and I got it on camera. So I've been trying to reach you, and I've been on a job site. Okay. Now this is what I want to know is, now you claim you're a journalist. Is this correct?
I am now, sure.
You are now. So now you're a journalist.
Yeah, because anybody that reports on the truth is a journalist.
Oh, that's funny, because all the journalists I see on TV are pushing propaganda and lies.
Well, I'm a journalist in the respect that I'm gonna put out the truth as I see it.
Okay, so you get paid for that?
No, I don't get paid at all.
Okay, so I made fun of you being a bum, you claim, and in reality you're taking care. And I heard the story. I had no idea, and I apologize. I didn't know that your girlfriend or your wife is sick, and you want to spend the last few years with her. Is this correct?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. So what do you do for a living?
Well, for the last 6 years, I've run a home-based business, mainly sales and marketing.
Sales and marketing. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So you've been hired out by firms to do marketing for them.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. Have you ever done any reverse marketing for globalists?
No, all of my clients, well, for the last 6 years or so, have been through a company called Elance, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's essentially where anybody with freelance talents, whether you're a painter or a copywriter or a translator or a graphic designer or sales and marketing, you basically get connected with clients all over the world. Some of my clients included medical device manufacturers, electronic health records, software distributors, real estate. I've done everything, even from nonprofit work. I did some work with a company called the SOS Children's Village, and we raised funds for children over there in, I believe it's in Uruguay or someplace where they just are in terrible conditions. And so I've done lots of different projects, but
the money went out under a very noble platform to help these kids, right? Well, I know missionaries that stack the containers with all sorts of hospital beds and all sorts of like serums and medicines for people in Uganda, and in the back they got crates full of machine guns to rebels. Listen, you can paint yourself as, the White Knight, and then demonize me for a role I did in MTV called gay porn. But look, I didn't get a phone call from you.
I called you twice and left a message, and I actually called you before I uploaded it.
About being in sales and marketing, okay?
Wait a minute. I called you twice, and I left you a message, and then I called you a third time before I uploaded the video. And by that time, I was already...
You had a clock. I didn't get back to you. You had a clock, right?
Well, no, I didn't have a clock. I could say the same thing about you. You called me at 4:58 p.m. on a Friday and left a message, and I honestly didn't get the message until I think I checked them today.
I think the problem here is that...
Yesterday.
Who cares? You know, the expedition is the only way to settle this. And it kind of seems like the only guy that's been pushing that is me, and now you're attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm defending.
Preemptive.
I'm defending myself against your allegations.
Dude, you had the video. You were going to do it. You were trying to reach me. You have a problem with homosexuality. That's your thing. I understand.
No, I have a problem with liars. I have a problem with liars.
Oh, liars or actors? Because it was acting that got this whole thing going. I infiltrated acting, and I infiltrated comedy to get it on stage, on TV, live television, and I hit 3 million people in the French world with this fire.
So what you're telling me is you had to do
this video by somebody, and you're all ready to smear me on something that actually got me on stage to get this thing going.
Okay, so wait a minute.
That role in professionalism. Okay, my professionalism is what got me on stage in French TV and got me booked in clubs, so I could start affecting the masses on this whole issue.
So you had to roll around in the sheet. You had to roll around in the sheet.
I'm as dishonest as a narc who's going around with a bag of heroin to take out the heroin dealer. I'm as dishonest as a police officer who's trying to catch a pedophile ring. You know,
well, I would say
honest as that is what you're saying.
No, so what I would say is there's
rocks at a glass house, John.
There's probably other ways to infiltrate NASA than to roll around in the sheets with a dude. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you know what? I did. Matter of fact, they adapt to me every week, and it's very obvious now that the whole Matrix is now breathing with anger for every insight I put out in the public. And you want to deprive humanity of the next insight I'm going to deliver by discrediting me when I actually went into the world of acting so I can get on a stage after 7 years and fucking release this information?
I'll tell you right now, if MTV came to me today and said, John, we're going to make you a star, we're going to make you a flat Earth superstar, but...
Am I a star? Am I a star on MTV? Am I?
Well, obviously not, so it didn't work, but...
I got approached in June by a woman who works at True Entertainment, okay, which is owned by 21st Century Fox, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, to do a reality series on all the flat earthers. But I wasn't going to hand over the copyright of all my work and my channel on YouTube, so it never happened. So there's a lot of shit you don't know how many times I bite the hand. So am I a star on TV? Or did I do recon and build a career so I could do what I had to do in this life?
Well, if that was your plan all along, then you were thinking very far ahead.
I'm very far ahead, dude. And I'll tell you how far ahead. I'll plant a little seed too, because we'll probably want to discredit with Lawrence Wright the same thing, and that's his whole modus operandi. I knew that was a painting when I was 3 years old. How disturbing is that?
I think that's brilliant. I think that you've done.
You know what? I knew it was. And it was only because I had a disgust working for a very important client that they wanted that on a logo, and I talked about it with other individuals of influence, that it all came out to me. And I had a disgust because I've never believed it. There's only one way to have taken this whole thing out, that little cartoon, and the fact that people worship it as it's the real thing. They don't know it's worship. And I did it that way. So yeah, I'm a visionary, okay? And I was able to go into acting, and I was able to go into comedy, and I was able to go into design, and I was able to meet architects and understand masonry, not just masonry, the cult or the society, but how civilizations are built by bricks, okay? So I understand far more than you can imagine. I'm upset because I didn't do that debate. They could have called me. I had people triangulating on my wizard page to see my reactions, saying very creepy things to the debate you were doing with that professor. I don't know where you came from, so I had my guard up because you unloaded at the same time as everybody else. And then,
well, do you want to know the story behind the debate? Because I'll tell you.
Because of my acting career and my infiltration in the world of comedy, that I delivered this.
Well, here's the story behind the debate.
You're attacking the same thing that delivered it.
The debate is that actually Eric Dubay was slated to do that debate for a good long while. He was supposed to do that show. And about 3 or 4 days prior, I got a call from...
another handler of my work. Another handler of my work. Why are the people who seem to be assigned to handle my work, my research, and all the steps I took to deliver this message, why are they being debated?
I don't know. You know, I wasn't offered for Matt Boylan to do the debate. It was offered to me, and I took it because there was a couple days left, and I was actually invited by Dave Weiss. I don't know what your feelings are on him. I guess you probably don't like him because he's
kind of interesting that none of these people get a hold of me.
Well, I can't speak for that, but at the end of the day, I accepted the debate. I was prepared for it to as much.
Fine, you did a good job for being, just getting involved in this whole thing. For the amount of time you crash coursed it, that was fine. I'm just asking questions here about John LeBon, David Weiss, and Art Bell, and footage coming to you with this timeline, and then Jeff calling me about this hit you're about to make, which you did do, and you used the footage that I put up the day before. But you seem to be in position and have the time at home to edit and upload, and not talk to me and return the phone call on Friday when I did call you.
No, listen, I've been in the middle of making a 2-hour documentary about how light passes through different media, including electromagnetic fields and ionized plasma. And so I had to basically stop what I was doing to defend myself against your hit piece against me. I mean, don't you understand that?
No, but you had the footage.
I had the footage, but I had the footage.
Hey, John, how come you never asked me on Facebook? Dude, I got this footage of you playing a character that's gay on MTV. How come you never did that?
Well, it seems to me that you unfriended me on Facebook.
No, I'm still friends with you now.
Well, then I missed it. But you can ask. I mean, really, if you call me on my home number, I'm almost always home. If I don't answer,
well, I guess the one time almost always home was the times I called.
Well, I walk my dog. I go to the store, and I literally had 50
phone calls on a matter that's this important. And a matter of fact, on my message, which I recorded on the original footage that you mined for some shots, you did a Jeff Cash. You didn't
actually the message.
You did propaganda hypnotism.
The message, well, hold on, we'll talk about that in a second, but the message that I got from you on my voicemail is not the message that you left on that video, by the way.
Yeah, but the video went up hours and hours after.
Well, anyway, so what are you talking about propaganda? I don't put propaganda in my videos.
When you repeat something, like in loop, the same scene?
Well, the reason for that is because, and I learned this long ago in my, the first job I ever had, I was actually a telemarketer. But one thing that you'll learn, and this is just human psychology, but people only tend to remember about 25% of what you tell them. So unless you repeat something at least 3 or 4 times, odds are they're not going to remember it. So
if you want somebody to remember something, right? And I talked about this in a stand-up video about brainwashing techniques and propaganda. Is you repeat the same thing.
So, for example, photo or painting, that would be classified as...
They're always different. And that's actually what we're doing there, is we're having the audience discern whether that's a photo or painting. And they're always 2 different photo or paintings. I'm not repeating the same image like the Earth constantly until you think it's a real photo. And I'm not like repeating the same comment out of context so you can brainwash somebody that person's evil or they're dishonest and slanderous. So you are a journalist, it seems.
Well, I'm a journalist in the sense that I'm a watchdog for the truth. If something falls into my lap that is totally fucking blows my mind, then I have a responsibility to to my listeners to share that. Now, I did try to get in touch with you.
I mean, did you get disturbed by the fact that I blew your mind?
Well, what blew my mind was your sort of ability to
That
get
was a pun. That was a pun. That was a little gay joke there.
Well, I don't have anything against gays. I'm not gay. I've had friends that are gay. I especially, I definitely don't have any problem with bisexual women. That's a little heterosexual joke.
Neither was the guy that's gay.
Well,
neither was the other guy in the scene. He's a jazz musician, by the way.
And that's fine, and that's all good. So basically, your guys' sexual orientation and your moral fabric was less important than your potential paycheck and potential rise to fame. So essentially, you sold your soul to the devil.
You do have a moral issue. So you do have a moral issue with gay people.
No, I have a moral issue with people selling their soul to the devil.
Okay. So playing a gay character would be evil.
No. Playing a character that is totally, yeah, I think that there's probably something wrong with people who are homosexual. I think it's an imbalance. I think it's every homosexual person I've ever known in my life has had some form of sexual trauma in their past. I'm sure there's exceptions, but everyone that I've known has had some form of sexual trauma in their past. And to expose children to that on national TV, I think is a terrible thing. Yeah, I have moral issues with that. Indeed, I do.
Okay. So Oscar Wilde. Are you a big fan of Oscar Wilde?
Not really.
No. Okay. There are people in this world that are gay. Okay. Now, let's say there was somebody famous that was gay. Somebody's going to play that person's part, their life. Okay. And as an actor, okay, playing that person's life, okay, that's the art. It's not the person. It's not the person playing that role. They're portraying somebody in reality, right? So maybe, like you're kind of saying that I'm against Nazis and we shouldn't, or I'm against whatever, racism, and we should never portray any films about racism. You're also saying that, John. And
no,
I was playing,
that's not what
I
I'm
thought
saying.
what was interesting is I was playing a super jock who's a closet homosexual.
So,
and I thought the irony was very funny.
Well,
And
I mean, that's your personal sense of humor, but, my thing is if I had...
There's a joke is there's a lot of macho guys out there that have wives, pretend to be macho, pretend to be straight, and they're really like, they're gay. So that was the angle I played with the character, and that's what I thought, you know what, you'd be good to paint this character, to play this character. And I thought that was funny because there's so many guys out there who are acting very tough, in Saudi Arabia, all over the place, and really they're bum-fucking their friends. What? That's their choice in life. So there's things going on.
That's a big problem in the Middle Eastern cultures because they...
Well, my uncle worked out there, so whatever. But the point of the matter is that you're kind of saying that we should not portray something that's going on in reality. And that, to me, is a form of fascism, and that's exactly what I'm against.
Well, if
we
it
might
was
need
going
to chemtrails
to...
and anti-globalism.
If it was going to be shown at midnight on frickin' Showtime or something, that's one thing. But when it's going to be aired on network TV where children can see it, I do have an issue with that.
And you know what? You have controls where you could block things, and it's the parents' job to watch what children watch. So it's MTV. And second of all, you keep repeating this slanderous propaganda that this is gay porn.
Well,
okay? So maybe men and women.
No, actually, I said gay soft porn. But my point is that I don't care how much money somebody offered me, how much fame somebody potentially offered me. When it comes down to me signing a contract saying I'm going to roll around in the sheets with a dude, I'm going to turn it down because
that's back then. But all the money in the world, you wouldn't attack somebody who's trying to do a legitimate expedition across Antarctica. And
no, I would actually join you in that expedition. Okay. I've been a proponent.
Or you just attack them for free.
Well, when somebody's character or credibility comes into question that I've been sort of supporting and backing, whether you know it or not, then it's a reflection on me.
What if there's somebody that's gay on the expedition?
Well, are they going to go pretend? Are they going to go be in movies pretending to be straight and hide that fact? I mean, it's besides. That's sort of besides the point.
Chris Cooper's gay.
Who's Chris Cooper?
Keanu Reeves is gay. Did you like The Matrix? I mean, I keep hearing Matrix refer.
Yes, Matt. There's lots of gay people out there, but you're familiar with Dave Chappelle, right?
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
Yeah, he did Half Baked, and he did the whole the Dave Chappelle show a couple seasons, and he basically
and they paid him as a crackhead when he didn't want to play ball anymore, right?
Well, he refused to put on a dress. Now,
Yeah.
they tried to convince him.
Do you know what I've refused since?
What?
Do you know what I've refused? You have no idea.
Well, you can tell. You can say it, or you don't.
What? I don't have to respond in your timeline. You follow? But I am so under attack, and I'm not even all over the web, and it begs the question why. I'm the only one that's saying, let's settle this with an expedition across Antarctica. I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson's
Matt, I've set up a petition to abolish the Antarctic Treaty. I'm with you, brother. But honestly, you say that I put out this impromptu attack piece on you, but if you look at the dates, you uploaded your
and I
fucking
just did
attack.
the preemptive.
You uploaded.
You know what? And I'm still friends with you on Facebook. And I called you. You didn't call me back.
I called you
hangout.
3 times, and I left you a message.
Okay. So back to you do understand that when you forcibly or consciously edit, repeating the same thing over and over again, and juxtapose things out of context, that's propaganda.
But wearing a guy.
Look, you should have been honest. You should have been honest and said this is an MTV show. You did it.
Oh, okay. Well, hang on a second. Wearing a Guy Fawkes mask and saying cucumber or zucchini isn't. I mean, let's not go with hypocritical arguments. But at the end of
What's wrong with that? Wearing a mask and then having people, doing something stylistic on set. Somebody owns that mask?
No. Well, it's the whole connotations
I never even saw the movie.
Well,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter. It represents Anonymous, which is the CIA-run operation. So just so you know.
Okay. Yeah. So I should cut off my thumb and my index because I've been doing okay too much as well. I'm going to do a joke about that too.
Well, it was just an example. It was just an example. It was an example.
I can almost see where this whole movement is tending towards a kind of fascism, and you're feeding into it.
I don't think so.
Now you're sounding homophobic because you're saying playing a gay part when you're straight is signing a deal with the devil.
Well, first of all, my sexual preference is irrelevant. What you do with your past is irrelevant. But when you're going to be sort of a forefront on this movement, which whether you like it or not, you've been forefront on this movement. All I'm saying is
pathetic because they couldn't. I had people try to get me on camera with coke. I don't do coke. I had people trying to say I do coke. Then I had people try to say that I'm a Nazi and I hate Jews. It's like they keep trying to discredit me on one little thing. So now it's like me playing a gay football player on MTV, and I was doing gay porn. Come on, John. John, really?
Well,
John, really? Really? Is this the last one, or what's the next one?
Well, the deal is
I think I'm drunk right now. I mean, they've tried everything here. I'm like a mountain. They're not going to move.
The deal is this. The truth is the truth, regardless of our personal deeds or misdeeds.
The laundry's out. It's an MTV show in 2001 before I found out all this shit. And then I continued to use...
and I'm talking about the Flat Earth movement. I'm talking about
the Flat Earth movement.
I'm talking about the Flat Earth movement is the truth regardless. And, personally, I still think of you...
Let's be really honest here. Call me a narcissist, but I'm going to defend the truth. It got out because of me.
Well, and that's debatable. That's what I've been under the impression of.
And Robot, though, it died. It got back out because I said, hey, that's a painting. Oh, you don't believe me? Let's do a little test called photo of painting.
Well, that's great. And I think, and honestly, I think...
You're attacking the guy.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Whoa.
You want to ask me on Facebook, man, I got this video from John LeBon. You kept all your cards secret, and you never begged the question. Big deal, this is MTV. Why is this person giving this to me? What's going on here? Why don't you fucking talk to me, John, if you're such a fan and a lover?
Well, here's the deal. Again, I did try to call you, but what I was trying to say is I have a great deal of respect for you and I put this in the comment, for having the brains and the balls, or maybe the brains and the planes.
But now you're going to do the expedition, John?
I never said that, Matt. You just stop putting words in my mouth.
I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it kind of looks like let's do a fake Antarctica expedition and take out the guy who wants to apply a strict, accountable, scientific mechanism with the Gaming Commission in Nevada so people could bet on it, and we could all see it online because there's money at stake.
Well, I think that's probably one of many good ideas, and you're being paranoid. Again, I've been a supporter of yours
you're not paranoid
for a long time.
You're
But
not paranoid at this point of being attacked incessantly when I'm on the floor working. Then you're not paying attention. I'm paying.
Well, we have reason to be paranoid, but what I'm saying is I've never personally given you any reason to be paranoid. If for some reason,
you don't know the upload time for a video is like 2-3 hours. I mean,
not for a 15-minute video. It took it about 30 minutes.
Oh wow! You know how long it takes me to upload?
How
and I
long?
don't live in a trailer. I'm in a condo.
What the fuck? What is that supposed?
3,900 minutes.
What is that supposed to mean? Because I live in a trailer.
You got a real good hookup from your hotspot, and you get it up in 30 minutes on your channel.
No, I've got high-speed internet. What, you think fucking trailers don't have high-speed internet?
Well, I got high-speed internet too, but somebody's slowing it down when I want to upload. I had to actually
even though I live I don't use Wi-Fi. I use Ethernet cord. That's probably why. But even though I live in a trailer and I'm some trailer trash bum without a job, I've got better internet than you.
I'm saying, a trailer's mobile. You have that flexibility. Good for you.
Well, actually, I rent.
And I got a crappy car, right? And apparently, I'm a materialist. I'm into the money system, but I also got a crappy car, according to that woman. So, and she's all about a free society and living off the grid and everybody's equal, but I got a crappy car. But I'm a materialist. Interesting. So I brought you live in a trailer because it just reminds me of the scene from Gene Hackman in The Listener or whatever that movie is. But I mean, that was the joke. I was just saying I wasn't talking about your income or what you're doing, but you have the flexibility of being mobile.
Well, no, okay? I don't because I rent. So you're wrong.
What? I really hope that I've made a mistake here in thinking that you're triangulating with people that have a radio station on the FCC, were put there to represent my model, and then eventually take me out, which is what you were about to do, and Jeff gave me heads up on it.
No, Jeff didn't give you heads up. I was trying to contact you through Jeff, and I don't know what he told you, but I wanted...
How come you didn't send me an FB message about this? And if you would have sent me an FB message, what's this thing I saw? We got to talk about this, Matt, because you're going to try to take you out. I got nothing from you, John.
Well, here's the deal. Honestly, I don't get on Facebook much. I'll respond to once in a while to a thing, but I literally get probably 50 friend requests every day and hundreds of private messages, and I literally just the other day caught up for my Merry Christmas messages, and we're almost in February. So Facebook is not a good way for me to respond and stuff. Like, I've literally got...
Call me or text me, right? My phone number's all over the internet.
I just got your number from Jeff. He gave me 2 numbers. The first number I called didn't work, so I got another number. I called it again. I left a message, and finally...
my Facebook message, it doesn't wash you. There's something very fishy here, John. First off, you're the only other person pushing extended landfill.
Matt, you attacked me first, dude. That's what you don't understand.
Because it doesn't make sense. You got footage here. You were going to paint it as softcore gay porn, which it is not. It's an
which it is.
Only you and your feelings about homosexuality, which you have that choice. But to be in this pious position where people can't represent real-life characters, even if it was a schlocky sitcom, right? I thought that it was funny to play that dimension of somebody who's pretending to be a man, macho, and he's really gay. I thought that was kind of funny.
Well,
irony, okay? It was back then, so I'm telling you the way I thought back then, right? And
that's fine.
That allowed me a credibility to be invited onto set to see how things work, and I saw quite a bit of stuff that disturbed me afterwards. And then
everything
to be involved with it.
Everything happens for a reason, and the choices that we make in life always lead us to exactly where we're going to end up, no matter what. It's things happen for a reason. But the point I tried to make about Dave Chappelle is he didn't think it was funny for him to dress up like in a dress and pretend to be a woman, and so he had the moral fabric.
After so many years, then he started to look at shit. And he started to realize the pressure of, now it's $200 million, and you got to answer to the people who are big corporations. It wasn't
That's right.
So it wasn't fun anymore for me either, John.
So what do you think about Caitlyn Jenner?
I think Caitlyn Jenner is probably part of this whole like effeminization of the Western male. They almost want the Western man to become effeminized. I have my own political theory, so it's easy for China and Russia to move in. These are very homophobic societies.
Yep, and I think they're also putting it into additives and putting extra estrogen into our food additives. But I'll tell you, any man that's going to have his, for lack of a better term, schlong sliced off and have it replaced with a vagina and take female hormones and grow breasts, there's something wrong with that person.
And he was also a big athlete. He was part of some project. Apparently, I didn't do research. I don't have time to. I'm sticking to this.
He was a football player, and then he was a runner.
Yeah, well, he was some sort of test tube project as well. So the other thing with Jenner and with people who get their gender spliced, they all regret it, 90%. And there's a psychiatrist that came out recently about that. But they all regret it, cutting off the wheezing. So it's a psychiatric condition, and I know some gay guys, they're gay. They're gay. It's not something they're trying to socialize it. They're trying to make people gender confused, gender neutral. I call it gender confusion. But there's people who, like, nothing I can do for that guy. He's really not into women. He likes guys. You know?
Well,
there seems to be a movement to eradicate, not make people gay, but eradicate the family unit, to eradicate reproduction, to sterilize people.
Absolutely right. Now, knowing what you know now, would you go back to 2001 or whatever and do that again, or would you refuse that?
I can't go back in time. This is a silly question.
Right, but what you had mentioned, but what you had mentioned before was, though, that was then. So I'm assuming that from your own statements that you've sort of had a change in your
classic. You're my bitch, submit move that you want to do here.
No, I'm asking you a question. So it appears to me, based on your own words, that you've had sort of a change in opinions in the last 15 years in terms of...
I'm talking about sterilization of humanity so they can't have the ability to reproduce.
Yeah, and anybody that has a sex change operation, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with their brain, and I think
You're doing an ad hominem, you're moving, you're deviating. This was a football. It was a character.
No, but
now,
it's very.
If I were to do a movie, let's say in 20 years, okay, about this period in history where they were trying to do a gender swap, I would have to play a character who, maybe I had to play a character. We need a character who's going to play like half man, half woman. What? I'm not going to play that. We're not going to have somebody play that. It was part of history. What about history? We can't do historical accounts. In a sense, there are people out there that are acting super jockey, and they're gay. They're pedophiles on the outside. There are policemen out there who pretend to be upstanding, law-abiding people that want to catch the bad guy, and then they're dealing crack and heroin on the street, and they're taking money from the mob. We got to show these elements.
Well, and I'll tell you,
it's happening. So as an actor, you go, well, what's the ethical angle that I can still have input in this thing? And my angle was playing the hypocrite who's pretending to be super manly, and really in the end, he's just a total liar and a total hypocrite. Because you need to show that deviance. And that's how I did it, and that's why I got hired for that role. I didn't play a character who was a pedophile and enjoying it here.
Well, and the thing is, though, it's incremental. It starts out small, and it's these very sort of
I get it.
ideas. Hold on, let me finish.
But I didn't know the future.
Hold on. It's these very movies and these very shows. I don't know if you ever saw the one with Feifel where there's a naked chick in the background for a second, like subliminal messages, Jessica Rabbit's vagina. But it's this very slow, progressive mix into very young sexual promiscuity and homosexuality becoming normalized. Becoming normalized. Well, hold on, and this becomes normalized, and children see this growing up, with or without their parents' permission or knowledge, which actually appears to be causing all sorts of neurological disorders, which involve gender confusion and people like Jenner getting his schlong cut off eventually.
Okay, so we're about to go over the ice, and I'm not sure if the tonnage of our snowcat and the amount of people and the provisions and the module we're pulling is going to be supported by the ice. And we need to send out a scout on a skidoo, maybe about 300 yards. We might have to blow something up with dynamite so we could get across an area by boat and not by snowcat. We don't know how solid the ground is when somebody steps off a helicopter or the tonnage we're carrying. You're going to be in this expedition and you're going to suddenly debate this kind of stuff?
Well, first of all, I think that
let's talk about.
I think that a scientific.
You want to argue something that has nothing to do with applying the scientific method.
We can change
over 50 years ago.
We can change the subject, and that's fine. And I'll tell you, I think a scientific. Well, hold on. I think a scientific excursion and expedition should be exactly that. I think it should be a scientific, controlled situation, safety first, something. And dude, a week ago or even 3-4 days ago, I would have literally walked out into traffic for you because that's how important this is to me, and you woke me up to this. So I've got a lot of respect for you.
Why didn't you email me, mathpowerland@gmail.com? It's so easy to remember. Mathpowerland.
I called you 3 times, but the point is, dude, you freaking attacked me first, bro. So,
dude, you did it.
All right.
But you did it.
Hold on, let's let Bob get a piece in.
Let me kind of get in here, guys. I mean, I understand both of your points, and honestly, I mean, John, I have to say that attacking Math for a role that he played, to me, is just not really a credible thing. I love you, John, but to me, this is kind of a pointless discussion. I think that Math has proven over the years that he is a true blue flat earther, absolutely. And I think that you guys need to definitely settle this. I think that maybe there were some things that went off prematurely. I agree with Matt that you guys should have definitely talked this out before any videos got released, and I think that any further fighting over this is not doing our movement any good whatsoever. So for me personally, I would like to see you guys kind of put this behind you. Let's talk about the things that really matter. I mean, we're here to talk about flat earth. We're all proponents of the flat earth, and we want to see it go somewhere. Now, I've let this discussion go on for a while because I felt like you guys both had some stuff that had to be vented, and I think it's been fairly well vented a few times repetitively. But honestly, I think
that's propaganda.
Yeah, well, whatever. I mean,
well,
I'm just saying.
It's just that the vehicle I used to get this out is the very vehicle that's being deployed to take out my credibility. He's acting. He's not real. What's his credentials?
I understand that.
You know what I mean?
Very
So
much
that's
so.
that's an obvious tactic.
People came to me months ago in comments and said, "Did you know that Matt is a registered member of this Actors Guild or whatever?" And I said, And I said, even if he is, that doesn't prove anything. He did comedy tours, he could have done some pilots or whatever, And so to me, that's irrelevant. Being an actor is irrelevant. But now, when you look at this, and let's put on our tinfoil hats, and you've got these, crisis actors and things like that. Yeah. That sort of raises an eyebrow, but it doesn't prove anything.
Why would a crisis actor get attacked?
Well,
there's crisis actor get attacked?
To give them credibility. That's one thing.
So you're giving me credibility?
Well, I mean, if a crisis actor goes through a crisis and then gets attacked, it gives them notoriety or maybe publicity. I'm not saying that's the case here. I'm not saying you're a crisis actor either, but what I'm saying is that people tend to connect dots. I mean, you've got people that will connect dots that shouldn't even be connected because they're dots that are totally unrelated.
I'm the only one talking about doing an expedition.
Well, as a matter of fact, I've supported you in that, and I've set up an Antarctic petition to
that's
the Antarctic Treaty.
We're going to settle this debate.
Exactly, and I'm with you 100% on that. 100%.
Right? Where's his card-carrying nasty badge? I'm being attacked by Lori Ferrari to a certain degree, because she's allowing these kind of discussions. I'm being attacked by Eric Dubé with a smear video. That's not true. He wrote all that propaganda. It's not true. So I'm being attacked by everybody unloaded at the end of February and the first week of March. Daryl Fox in his forum trying to make little memes that I do coke and I'm a meth head. Why am I being attacked?
Well,
the only thing they tried the coke, they tried the Nazi because of my blonde hair. They tried. Now it's I'm a gay porn actor. I mean, for me, I'm just going. You know what? I'd love to shake hands with you, John. You're going to have a bit of a timeline on that. I have to assess everything that's been going on here because the pattern is attack the guy who wants to settle this the only way. Double traverse across Antarctica.
Well, honestly, I don't think what happened 15 years ago has any effect on any sort of scientific expedition. But on the other hand,
the role of the TV series, it's not like I'm like a recovering heroin addict, or I went around pimping like sex traffickers and workers, or I mean, really.
The point, the issue that I had with it was that, you know,
your personal sexual preference.
No, it's that you have the ability to be completely dishonest and not even bat an eye, and that's sort of frightening to anybody.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you this.
John, wait, hold it.
I was waiting to see when that would be pulled.
Yeah. I mean, John, really, honestly, you can't really go there. You can't go there because math is an actor.
You're the only one pushing that theory, extended land theory.
So I'm not. Wait a minute. So I'm not allowed to have an observation. That's my opinion.
No, but it just kind of sucks that the only other person in my camp pushing the Columbus model, that there's more land, is you. And I was wondering when that would be used, because in a certain sense, after I made that report coming out of 9/11 from New York City, I don't know if you saw my video. Did you see my video about you? I wrote a report for CSIS and the CIA because I left at 9:11 a.m. from Manhattan. I had survivor's guilt. I left my cousin there. I left my comedy manager there. The art gallery that wanted to represent me. New York was closed. There was no work for me. I was a Canadian. I was trying to get my papers to work. There was no work in Canada. The whole economy took a hit. I had to work for some people, and I started doing floors, and then I ran into some individuals, and then that's when I found out some stuff. At the same time, 3 weeks after, I was offered this role. But it was 3 weeks after I made the report for CSIS, and they invited me down to their center down in Montreal, and that report went up to the CIA. And within 48 hours, I called what everybody in the truth movement for 9/11 called 4 or 5 years later. That it wasn't the group they thought it was. It was another group framing that group so they could take advantage of the world political stage to encroach the security apparatus.
So wait, I mean, you think it was PNAC, right? The Project for the New American
Now
Century.
that you got this video, it was there. Let's call it's Luciferian almost. It was used by you, or was to be used by you. Okay? They gave me that role, most likely, to take me out after they found out I knew what was going on with 9/11.
So now, wait a minute. You're talking about like 19 Muslims with box cutters versus PNAC, like the project.
Yeah, I said it was all fake, and I gave them a list of potential security breaches that terrorists could employ. And I said it was most likely some sort of radical white bread Christian sect, probably. That's framing Muslims, Christian for all I know, Catholics, not even Catholics, Luciferians posing as Catholics or Christians. And it was people in charge or some mafia that took down those towers for some other reason that would be revealed in time, but was definitely to encroach on our freedoms, which all came out. And some of the security breaches I listed was delivering biowarfare through weather. They really wanted to talk to me because that was written in 48 hours after I left New York that day. I mean, it sounds like you didn't listen to the video I had with Jeff.
I didn't see it. I didn't
offered that role, okay, and then I did the audition, and maybe I was naive. I was broke. Everything was closed down in New York. I had half my belongings at my cousin's place. And I'll tell you a little bit about my cousin, Barbara Hervig. She's an Academy Award-nominated director who pretty much brought down the Cold War. And I was helping consult on a video about the Holocaust as a political scientist and an editor, and also having a background in film and television. And we had footage, okay? She had footage, and she was wondering if she should take it out of the edit. And I said, no, you got to keep it in because we're not getting financed by any Christian organization or any Catholic organization. You got to keep that piece in. And the piece showcased black and white footage of Jesuit priests wearing swastikas, putting Catholic Polish priests into the oven.
Right.
Catholic.
Yeah, the Jesuits are pretty bad. Hey, Matt.
Okay, so I was working with her on that. The towers came down. I wrote a report. 4 weeks later, hey, you want to do this role? I did it. Now, it's being used as a ploy to discredit me, improving the Earth's non-curvature or curvature through an.
Well, and I see your point. I see your point.
That it would come down in your hands, John, the only other person pushing extended land theory, and they put you in charge of my model on art.
Well, nobody
John LeBon used to be part of, and John LeBon allegedly gave you the footage.
No, he actually didn't. I swear to God he didn't. But nobody made me do anything. I see the evidence as I see it, and that's what I go by. And you know, I have always thanked you and appreciated you for waking me up. So, and let's just say, and we've only got a couple minutes, so let's just say, and I don't know if what you're saying is what you did in the past was a mistake, or if it's something that led you to where you are today. So
right now, it was to be used by you. You didn't contact me. And it's so pathetic.
Well, let's
that's the only thing they could use is a role I did on MTV and try to say I'm a gay porn actor.
Let's change the subject just for a second, because the original, the last
taking care of a sick woman.
The last
pathetic.
The last God Almighty.
You that you would do something like that.
The last
something like that.
The last conversation that I had with you had to do with the post that you had on chemtrails, which basically stated anyone who says chemtrails isn't real is a paid shill. Now, there could be...
You believe they're fake.
Well, here's what I believe. I believe that that we have the technology to run internal combustion engines on water vapor. There's an invention, you can look it up, by a man named Tom Ogle, Stan Meyer. They worked on a modified version of what's called the Winnipeg carburetor, which what it does is it injects a certain amount of oxygen in with the water into the combustion chamber. And what is water made of? Hydrogen and oxygen. And so as long as you vaporize that to the right degree and you have enough oxygen in the mix, that will actually combust inside the combustion chamber just like a quote-unquote fossil fuel, but the only exhaust is clouds. The only exhaust is low density water vapor. And so let's just hypothesize here for a minute. Let's say that Tom Ogle, who was found suicided in his trunk, the patents were actually bought up by, it was either GE or GM or one of these big corporations. Let's say that instead of bringing this technology to everyone in the world because they're raping us for the gas prices, but let's say that they let their inside buddies, you know, the big airline manufacturers or the big airlines who are all in, you know, on this whole super continental corporate conglomerate, let's just say that they let their buddies in on this technology. Now, first of all, I will say that I do know that they use aluminum for cloud seeding and they use aluminum particulates to amplify the signal from HARP. But what I'm saying is I highly doubt that all chemtrails are containing that stuff because of the fact that I believe 100%, 99% for sure that they're running their jets on nothing more than water because it's free. They don't. All they have to do to fuel up is pump, you know, kerosene scented water in from the nearest lake. And that's my hypothesis. That doesn't make me a shill or a liar. It just means there's alternative theories to them spraying everyone, including themselves and their children, with toxic chemicals.
Well, you say there's an agenda to do a gender swap, and you agree with me that there's an agenda to sterilize and stop human reproduction as just a natural God-given right.
They do it through the food. Why do you think 9-year-old girls are growing C-sized breasts? There's estrogen, there's hormones in the food. They don't have to spray us, but they damn sure could get free fuel, and they would never tell us. And in fact,
that's natural. They can spray it as well, so they'll get your food even through spray. And second of all, there's no law that protects the natural state of air. There is no law.
Well,
there's no law.
Until I see a triple-blind study done by 500 independent investigators trailing behind 500 random, you know, unplanned chemtrail planes, and the results are, you know, scrutinized by 500 different scientists who don't know, you know, which came from which, and let's see if there's, you know, poisonous chemicals.
My attorney that sent notice to Google to take down these smear videos that twist the context. And frankly, you're all right. You're okay to keep your video up. You've got comments behind you, fair use, because it's on the internet. But what the girl did, she recorded me without my consent. So it's a privacy rights violation.
I saw that, and I could tell that was the setup. I could tell. Hold on. Wait. Tell me if I'm right. But was she egging you on, and then hit the record button because it totally came?
We were going to do an interview. She knew I was traveling, and she came back from Miami. Her boyfriend turned the power off in the house with me and my girlfriend. We went and stayed in Austin. Then we came back because the power went on. Then they shut the water off, and then we went back to Austin. So we stayed there maybe 10 days. And this was after a client attacked me in El Paso, probably because he got a robocall to intimidate him. And people that I'm doing work with right now are getting robocalls late at night going, "You are not to talk to Matt Boylan," freaking people out. I had one guy who finally had the courage to confirm my suspicion that my clients have been being intimidated for the last 10 years. And I asked this guy just last week, At what point were you scared not to tell me? He goes, I was very close to not telling you and never speaking to you again, but something told me I got to tell you. Now, my attorney is working with Dane Widgington. He's the one that's doing an injunction on chemtrails. There's a gag order, for your information, on every journalist worldwide, by every government.
Right, but doesn't that perfectly fit the theory that they're getting their fuel for free and they'd never want us to know that because we've had this technology since the 60s? We could have been running our cars on water.
Well, I think the water thing is basically they don't want water-powered engines, and this might sound fantastical, but when you've been at it this long, if you have a water-powered engine, because of the Antarctic Treaty Project, forbids any kind of combustible fuel, and I have a water-powered engine, well, all I got to do is have like a shovel that's on auto mechanics that just scoops up the snow and goes into a hydrogen converter or that water-powered engine, and I fuel my snowcat straight across to the new world.
Yeah, it's just all it is a modification to the carburetor. That's it.
Chemtrails do exist. They are dropping lithium. They're dropping pathogens. They're dropping blood cells. They've even dropped LSD on a French town, I believe, back in the 80s.
I don't doubt that. I don't
on Palestinians to make them irate.
Well, I don't doubt that there is some of that, but what my point is, I strongly believe that probably 90% of what we think are chemtrails, honestly, and this is what I really, really believe, 90% of what we think are 90%. Chemtrails, at least 90% is just simply water vapor coming out of the backs of engines that are run on this. All it is a minor modification to the carburetor, which adds a little bit more oxygen and sprays out the H2O in a certain way so that the mist...
Those are serious engines because they make tornadoes and hurricanes. I've seen them.
Yeah.
I've seen them from A to Z, crisscross the sky with your nice little engines that make tornadoes.
Well, sure.
Smoking gun footage as well on time lapse. You can check it out.
Well,
yeah.
There's a Supreme Court case going on with my lawyer, and there's a group of lawyers that are filing right now in Quebec. Okay, and it's going on this year, right? There's going to be a lot of interesting stuff that's going on this year. That's why the Matrix is accelerating their biochipping, their false flag ISIS war they want to get going in the Middle East. Everything's accelerating, and the FE is definitely a big fucking thing that they weren't expecting to show up, because it's all about that globe being an image, an icon that people worship because they've never seen it, and it's a cartoon.
Agreed.
So chemtrails do exist. If you want to like pacify yourself and think that it's just this water-powered engine, I'm sure it is.
I would research it. I would research it because it makes a lot of sense. It makes sense on many, many levels if you just give the hypothesis a chance and do the research. Again, it's
I'm sure it's part of it.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure it's part of it, but I'm not saying that that's 90% of that. No way.
Yeah, and this is something.
Not with the storms I got. And the reason why they're not going to talk about it is because if they were to ever expose that they're geoengineering, and geoengineering, I mean even anatomical modification, the entire insurance industry wouldn't be able to keep up with the claims of all the disasters in the past 30 years. So there's a big fight here. And if you were to collapse the insurance industry, like those buildings in Fight Club, the entire world monetary system would collapse. So they would not acknowledge chemtrails, and there's a gag order by every FCC affiliate to not have any journalists cover it. So for me, anybody who comes into the flat earth and doesn't talk about chemtrails, that's a red flag, because I know about the gag order.
Well,
I work with the lawyer that's doing the injunction in Canada right now, and he's going to do it in Washington very soon, and they're going to try to do it over San Francisco.
To say that anybody who disagrees with your particular take on chemtrails
it's the real research. It's not disagree. I'm talking about people that don't bring it up and they want to say that they're not real. They're very real. I'm sorry, when you see like a grid of white lines expand, white out the sky, and then there's rain, but pay attention.
Listen, guys, I've got to be on another show, and by the way, Matt, I'm sure that you would be welcome.
What are we doing here? We're going to continue to smear each other, or we're going to do?
Well, no. I guess my question to you would be: is if you're ashamed of that video, or if you're ashamed of what you've done in the past. No. This isn't about submitting. This is about me being an honest person with integrity. If you're ashamed of it, I will take it down. If you're not ashamed of it, which you claim to be, then I'll leave it up. Because what difference does it make?
What I'm ashamed of. It's not ashamed. It's more I'm disappointed that you did something very extremist and omitted the details and the context and repeated things in loop like a slanderous propaganda piece, and you reverse the slander on me. I'd be willing to take down my video if you take down yours, and we do mea culpa. That yeah, it's an MTV rule that was in the past.
I think that's a great idea.
You know, and that's a good idea. One thing I will say, and not to be childish about this, but you put out an attack piece on me first, and when I did release the video, I did have it ready to go, but I wanted
the video ready.
I wanted to talk to you. No, actually, I did it quickly. I had it done in a couple of hours, believe it or not. It's only a 15-minute video, and most of it was just taking clips, so it was done very quickly.
Because you know, I got high-speed internet. And sometimes it says 3,942 minutes.
No, I get an average of 2 megabytes per second upload.
And I get clients getting weird phone calls in the middle of the night.
But are you using?
Left and right, trying to say be trusting because I'm an actor.
At
what point am I not acting? See, this is just it.
I'm just. Hold on. Are you using Wi-Fi or do you actually have an Ethernet cable plugged up?
No, I have high-speed internet.
No, but is it wireless or do you plug it in with the Ethernet cord? That's why your upload.
No, but that's unheard of.
Well, no, what I'm saying is
the notion was 49,552 minutes to upload.
That's fine.
Got it done at a secret location, and it processed over a day. So April 1st on it.
Just upload using an Ethernet cable, and it'll probably triple your speed. And processing always takes long because that's how they double check stuff for like copyright violations.
I want to point out something about acting here. Acting doesn't belong to Hollywood.
Well, I mean, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. But
you'll see me playing all sorts of little quips and characters in all my videos where I'm imitating people. That's acting, and I'm a very well-trained actor, and I'm using the art form to vehicle this entire thing. Well, at least what I put out, and I was alone for years. Okay, so and it also was able to enable me to get inside and poke around and see how the propaganda machine works. Special effects, propaganda, ritual on set. So I know quite a bit. You want to tick me off as an asset to being one of the only insiders that's actually been a professional actor in Hollywood that bit the hand that fed him?
I just wish that you would have been more upfront with your past and from the get-go.
You have an issue. That's fine.
No, I don't have an issue. Honestly, I don't.
You have an issue. Okay.
My issue was that you put out a hit piece on me before even speaking with me about a video that I had.
Hold on, guys. We're beating a dead horse here. Let's stop this right now. Okay.
So,
I mean, we have covered this, and I think that you guys, taking down your respective videos is a great idea.
I think that's also censorship and fascism, by the way. But
well, yeah, but you know what? We're not talking about censorship.
I'll keep up.
I mean.
I did that preemptively because I knew that was coming.
We don't need them to be up. I mean, all it's doing, John and Math, is causing a bunch of dissension and a lot of problems.
I mean, that's what I just offered.
Okay. And so, John, don't look at it as censorship. I mean, just look at it as there was a communication breakdown, and that's the way I see it. It was a communication breakdown.
If you don't want to censor, John, just leave a link where they can get the original episode. You know where
it's on YouTube. I mean, anyone can find it. I didn't put it.
If you're really intent on showing that I did that in the past, leave the link.
No, the reason I even uploaded the thing that I had ready was because of the attack piece that you put out on me without speaking with me first. Now,
I'll take down my attack piece on you, which I thought was preemptive defense. Because of all these attacks,
you need to watch You need to watch your back with Jeff because I'll tell you right now, you don't want to hear the things that he said about you, and I'm sure that I don't want to hear the things that he said about me. So just watch him because I thought he was a good dude.
He just said that you were preparing a hit piece with John LeBon.
No. I went to Jeff and I said, Jeff, I need to get a hold of Matt because some information has landed in my lap, and I want to get in touch with Matt and talk to him about this.
The number from Jeff, and then
I did get the number from Jeff. I called you twice and left you a message, and then I called you a third time before I uploaded, dude. I promise you.
Guys, can you guys take this up after the show? Honestly.
Well, I got to be over on the other one. Okay, we'll call it truce.
So how about this? If you don't want to censor, put the link. But if you want to put propaganda, I'll keep mine up.
Hey, look, man, a truce is a truce. I'll take it down. I feel that that's censorship, but you know what?
The girls will love it. I don't know. Or the gays will love it. Maybe they'll bring the gays into the flat Earth movement. And we'll have a couple of gay guys on the expedition, John.
No publicity.
Well, I'm trying to figure out the tonnage, whether it's going to make it across the ice. So,
well, listen. No publicity is bad publicity. I'll tell you that. So, if you would prefer that I take it down, I will take it down. Obviously, under the condition that you take down your preemptive attack piece on me. But if you want to leave them up, we can leave them up, and we could still be friends.
Done.
This is how open I am. Is I want the gay community involved. So let's put the link on your thing. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But don't call it gay porn, man. Right?
Well, I would call it gay software.
Call it gay porn. That's your thing. Leave the link, and then you have your issue, and that's your issue. Like I said, you have an issue. But I'll take down my preemptive defense piece, and you take down your defense piece, and we'll just leave it at that. And if you really don't want to censor yourself as a journalist and decide for yourself, well, then leave the MTV link there so people could, watch some bad acting I did back in 2001.
Hey Matt, if you want to continue this conversation on the next show, I can send you over a link.
No, because it's not important for me.
Well, because you said a lot of things. You said a lot of things about Lori Frary and Lawrence Wright, and they're both on that show. So maybe they could, maybe you could air some of your gripes to them. Obviously, something's changed.
I got this pillar to do here.
Okay, that's fine. It was just
that I'm working on right now while I'm painting this. I've devoted enough time. I'm going to focus on what I was born to do.
Well, I'm glad that you.
One of the main reasons why I want to see new land is I want to paint landscape that I've never seen.
I'm glad that you were lucky enough to have full-time work. So that's very very.
No, I have work. I'm losing work. It's not full-time work. I got to take what I can get, And thank God I'm doing something, that now I know. Okay, I can't be corrupted, and they can't stand that, and now they're threatening my clients. Leaving creepy phone calls late at night.
Yeah, well, I lost all of my high-profile clients when I came out with Flat Earth, so it is definitely something that you want to keep away from your business life, just saying.
You win some, you lose some, but me, like I said, I almost got my head cracked open in 2010, and people try to say that that's acting. No, it's not acting. It was pretty serious. So every week goes by, I wonder, is this the week it's going to catch up to me, that car hit on my life? What can I say this week?
Right. Well, listen, I got to pop over to this other show. Hey, just give me a few hours. I will take it down. I guess I will call this a truce. And when you do get the expedition going, you can give me a call. I never had anything against you, so hopefully we can call a truce, let bygones be bygones, and get on with the fucking Flat Earth movement, for crying out loud.
Sure.
I think that's a great idea.
It's the scientific method, right? Cheers.
All right, man. I got to go.
Okay, bye.
Take it easy.
And Bob?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, well,
yes.
I'm glad that you had me on the show to contend with all this.
Yeah, and honestly, I have to say, Matt, that honestly, I disagree with John's position on this, and I respect him very much, but when I saw the video this morning, I did disagree. I realized you are an actor, you were doing an acting job, and you were doing it in an environment, on MTV. It was an opportunity for you, and not to mention, I would imagine, decent pay, and it's part of what you do. So, I mean, I did not see any problem with that at all.
What's so funny, too, is like I'm being demonized for doing something in Hollywood, and everybody's glorifying that B.O.B. or Tila Tequila are on board. I mean, wow, what a bunch of fucking hypocrites in this fucking movement. It's enough to go, you know what I mean? Like, wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm pretty pissed off with, so I'm furious, to tell you honestly. I'm gonna take it down, but I'm fucking furious with the hypocrisy here. People connect the dots? Wow. Try connecting the dots. Don't fucking pretend. Anyways, Bob, thank you very much.